Welcome to Fortitude Ranch, a recreational and survival community, a place to vacation and enjoy in good times and survive in a collapse. I'm Colonel Drew Miller, CEO of Fortitude Ranch. We've created the best survival community business in the world. In this briefing, we'll give you a tour of our Fortitude Ranch facilities in operation as of 2022 and explain our key operating principles. I'll go through this rapidly, so hit the pause button if you want to read or study a slide. Our mission is saving our members' lives during a collapse. We also provide a fun, beautiful place for our members to enjoy in good times, but our primary goal is to be prepared to execute our survival mission of keeping our members not just alive, but in good spirits and mental health during a collapse. We are veteran-owned and operated with professional staff. All of our members will serve on guard duty and work on farming, ranching, cooking, and other duties during a collapse so we can survive any disaster. As you'll understand from this video, you need a lot of people to run a successful survival community. You must keep lots of guards on duty at all times to deter a marauder attack. There's a long history of voluntary survival communities, and they usually fail in a year or two because it's impossible to reach agreement on all the difficult decisions to be made, and you need the discipline of a business with professional staff in charge. Fortitude Ranch was developed over a decade ago when we rejected the standard approach of burying a shelter underground and hoping you can hide out and not get found. We came up with a unique and the best, most cost-effective way to survive against any threat. We have professional staff and great fully equipped facilities with gardens and farm animals that we can defend against any marauder threat because all of our members are armed with defensive walls and guard posts so we can defend our compounds. We have 5 operating locations now with a country club style membership that lets you join and have a room at your home fort for a collapse, but visit and vacation at any location. In order to survive a collapse, there are 11 basic requirements that we cover in threat and overview briefings you can access on our website. In this video, we'll show you how we provide these 11 vital survival requirements in slides and photos of our Fortitude Ranch locations. Again, hit the pause button if you want to study the details on a slide. The first and most important survival requirement is security. We have not just armed staff, but all of our members are required to have weapons so they can serve as guards and, if attacked, man our defensive walls to defeat a marauder attack. We recommend AR-15s and 12-gauge shotguns, but we also have hunting rifles and 50 caliber rifles in case some idiot in an armored vehicle is trying to harass us. We are prepared for the worst marauder threats, which is likely a well-trained and equipped group trying to slip in at night. We have night vision and thermal imaging equipment, and a big advantage we have is that at night, all Fortitude Ranch members are inside our compound walls, 6 or more guards on duty, listening as well as looking for any signs of movement outside and ensuring nothing gets into our cleared lines of fire undetected. If an alarm is sounded, all our members grab their weapons and run to their assigned defensive position. When you come to Fortitude Ranch to vacation, you're a guest. But when members come during a collapse, staff is in charge and you will be put to work. In the initial days at our forested locations, you'll be chopping down trees to clear lines of fire, stacking them into defensive walls. We have some stone walls up now, but in a collapse, trees will be cleared to leave no cover for attacking marauder groups and to build complete defensive walls around our compounds. Everyone will serve guard duty with our most capable shooters and guards assigned to night guard duty at the posts marauders are most likely to attack. My PhD dissertation at Harvard University was on underground nuclear defense shelters and field fortifications for NATO troops. Data from military history shows that a force defending prepared positions has at least a 3-to-1 up to a 10-to-1 advantage over attacking forces in exposed positions. The other big plus of defending behind walls is that it takes far less military skill and training and physical ability than conducting mobile offensive operations. Our members are all very capable of resting weapons on walls and shooting an attacking marauder force out in the open. Marauders will know that a wound during a collapse with no hospitals operating will likely mean death, and they won't want to risk attacking a facility where they will take heavy casualties. We are confident we can defend ourselves very well and thus deter and avoid attacks. A wall can protect from either direction, so we often build bastions, which is castle terminology for a part of the wall that sticks out so you can shoot at aggressors on the other side of the wall if they are successful in reaching it. That's why we have things like gazebos that stick out beyond the walls and elevated decks on buildings that overhang the walls or put you high enough up to shoot over them. In a collapse, we will put up alternating sheets of plywood and steel to provide protected shooting positions on our elevated decks and tree houses. From bastions, our guards can fire down the outside of the wall. This way, if a marauder group does make it through the cleared lines of fire and reaches our defensive wall, they are not protected from our guards shooting from bastions overhanging the compound wall. We design and position many of our buildings to serve as great guard posts. The buildings often help form part of the outer wall that will be completed in a collapse situation. This building at Fortitude Ranch, Nevada provides the upper defense of the compound with no doors or accessible windows on the bad guys' side of the building and the guard posts on the upper decks on both ends. In a collapse, members will work to add walls extending from the corners to completely wall off the compound. During the day, we'll be out hunting and tending gardens, watching over grazing livestock, but at night, all members and farm animals are safely inside the compound walls. We have log homes at all our locations. They look great, and the thermal mass of a log home is energy efficient, but most important, they can stop or at least greatly slow down bullets, while a framed house with insulation and drywall offers almost no protections. Bullets can go right through the house. More important than weapons and walls and guard posts is having professional staff in charge of security. All our ranch managers, and this includes franchise locations, are former military or law enforcement officers. Our staff is also not just there to protect members, their families are also with them. We have shooting ranges at all our locations and encourage our members to come for shooting training. But the big advantage we have is that the skills needed to defend behind a wall are tiny compared to executing a mobile attack. Training is provided for members but not required. Our staff has the expertise to give direction and run the facility safely, but we do encourage members to attend our training on marksmanship and tips on how to get here safely in a collapse if law and order breaks down quickly. We also have drones to detect a marauder group at distances at all our locations, but we can detect marauders and defend ourselves without drones. One of our 3 key principles is respect Murphy's Law. We assume everything can break, and we prefer to keep it simple, stupid, so we have largely simple defense plans that do not depend on anything high-tech or breakable. Our 3rd final key principle is adapt. This is another area where having a big, diverse membership with lots of skill sets is very valuable. If your defense strategy is hiding, then you should plan on dying in a collapse. You cannot hide long-term when there is a long-lasting collapse. Marauders and desperate people will be looking everywhere for food. They'll see solar panels, hear or smell a generator running. If you think you can just hide underground, you haven't thought it through. Even if you think your mental health would survive spending months underground, you must have electric power, which means above-ground collectors or detectable exhaust. You must also be able to protect your survival facility on the surface. If marauders enter your property, they will at a minimum steal or destroy anything on the surface. Underground shelters must have air vents, and marauders can find them and cover them up after they yell down to you, demanding you surrender your food and supplies or suffocate. If you can't defend your facility on the surface, a marauder group can capture everything you've got above ground, and after plugging your air vents, you'll die below ground. The second requirement is you must have a facility that can keep people separated and able to survive a pandemic. Fortitude Ranch was designed for optimal pandemic survival. We have lots of buildings and members have their own private rooms. The vast majority of survival facilities are buried silo shelter, but that can be suicidal in a pandemic to share air supplies. A deep underground shelter has a central air system, so if one person carrying a human-human air transmissible virus like smallpox or flu gets in, all will likely get infected. Fortitude Ranch has spread out buildings and many underground member rooms have separate air supplies leading to them. Our staff is trained on procedures to keep members separated in the initial days of a pandemic and quarantine later arrivals, so we can keep our members well separated and safe from a virus. If a marauder group attacks, it's essential that everyone can quickly get to their defensive fighting positions. This means you cannot be deep underground or traveling a long distance. You must be able to get from your room to your assigned fighting position behind our defensive walls in less than a minute. That's why at Fortitude Ranch we have lots of buildings that are spread out both for virus protection and so members can quickly reach their part of the defensive wall that we defend. Members have their own private rooms. There are a lot of housing options to meet your preferences and budget. Luxury rooms have a window, more space, and nicer furnishings. We do not have a standardized room. They vary greatly in size and furnishings. We provide a bed and for an economy and luxury room, some storage space. Our members often customize their rooms, adding rugs and their own furniture and features. We also have a limited number of luxury rooms with a private toilet and sink in the member room, but most of our members use shared common bathrooms. Economy rooms don't have a window, but they have more room and a little nicer furnishings than Spartan rooms. Spartan rooms are much smaller and are not fancy, but they give you a place to sleep that's private and lock up your personal supplies. We want to make membership affordable for people with lower incomes, so we also offer a Spartan shared space membership, the lowest cost option. Often located in a hallway, they provide a place to sleep but little privacy. Some have a place to lock up your personal storage items, or you can bring a metal lockbox. Our member rooms are small, but you don't need a lot of private space for sleeping, and you can use our common areas when you're awake for free time reading or socializing. After the first month of a collapse, there'll be far more free time for members, and we will encourage folks to form book clubs and hold meetings on topics of interest. Groups can reserve common areas for meetings, and we'll have DVD movies and entertainment. Another low-cost membership option is an RV membership. You can purchase a Forticabin that provides a very small private cabin room for your family or group with an important survival difference. The outer walls are built with steel panels and solid wood rather than fiberglass insulation to offer better bullet protection. Some Fortitude Ranch locations have private floors that you can lease or private cabins. We offer opportunities for full-time residents at Fortitude Ranch, West Virginia, Texas, and Tennessee. Fortitude Condo will offer condominium-style living with fantastic security since located inside a Fortitude Ranch recreational and survival facility. You can live in your Fortitude Condo room full-time or use it as a vacation house. These will not be formal legal condos, but a leased room that you can use as you like and sell, but not separately deeded condos or under the control of a condominium association. The third requirement for survival is obviously you need food. Chickens are a great and rapidly expandable form of livestock that we have at all our locations, providing fresh eggs and depending on the location, we have different farm animals beyond chickens. Several locations have sheep and rabbits, some have goats and quail. In a collapse, we will expand our chicken and farm animal herds to produce food as well as the hunting and use of stockpiled food supplies. We're now testing an aquaponics system that will let us raise fish, tilapia, and lots of lettuce and greens year-round that will be rolled out to all Fortitude Ranch locations in 2023. To protect our farm animals and also help our guards at night, all Fortitude Ranch locations have guard dogs. We have an outstanding team of dedicated guard dogs that are friendly to members. You can read more about them on our website in the staff section. Member pets are okay as long as you stockpile your own dog food, clean up after them, ensure they are no bother to others. As mentioned before, in a collapse, members will be working hard, rapidly expanding our gardens and doing other work. We have lots of stockpiled seeds and will do lots of planting and gardening work in a collapse. We do not maintain large gardens at our facilities in peacetime because the wildlife will come in at night and eat them up. But in a collapse, we have guards on duty at night, so critters coming into our gardens will be shot for food. For us are the guard dogs, our farm animals. But we can't shoot a weapon at night because gunfire is a signal for all our members to grab their guns and run to their assigned defensive fighting positions. So our night guards will use crossbows to kill deer or rabbits that come into our gardens. During the day, we will be outside gardening and hunting. To avoid overtaxing our septic systems, we'll use slit trenches and outhouses outside our compound. But at night, everyone must be inside the compound walls. In addition to a surge in manpower to plant our stockpiled seeds and massively expand our gardens, we also have tractors and skid steers to till and plant more acreage. In the first days of the collapse, we'll do massive poaching to kill as many deer, turkey, and other wildlife as we can that we'll process into jerky for long-term storage. Our goal is to hunt, fish, garden, and expand our ranch animal population to be as sustainable as possible, but depending on the timing of the collapse, we'll have to dig into our stockpiled food. We have lots of flour, beans, rice, and other shelf-stable food, and we also stockpile very high-calorie emergency food ration bars. If you've got a lot of stockpiled supplies in a great facility, you've just made yourself a more tempting target for marauders if you can't defend it, and better than that, deter an attack by making it obvious that you are well fortified, armed, and manned to kill an attacking group. Our kitchen facilities can prepare meals for large groups. In addition to guard duty, member work in a collapse will include kitchen and meal preparation duty, as well as gathering firewood, tending wood stoves, hunting, gardening, and manning the clinic. When members come out for vacation visits, they will use our propane or electrical appliances, but in a collapse situation, we will cook with wood, reserving all our propane for our electric generators. And the fourth obvious survival requirement is water. Since water is so vital, every Fortitude Ranch has multiple sources, not just a well, but often two wells, but also flowing water on site or nearby that we can get to. And we have the ability to generate electricity to power well pumps when the grid is down. Our Nevada location is in the desert, but has multiple springs running year-round and well water too. A fifth survival requirement is electricity. All our locations have solar power and generators. We design our facilities to have minimal need for electricity, and of course we use LED bulbs and very low energy demand systems as much as possible to enable solar power to work and to be very miserly in our use of our propane fuel for generators. Our solar systems have integrated propane generators, so when the solar system can't keep batteries charged, the propane generator is automatically turned on. We have huge 1,000-gallon propane tanks and arrangement with propane companies to keep them topped off. We warn members that electric use in a collapse will be severely restricted. You won't be allowed to run gaming systems or personal space heaters or any high electric demand product because we want to conserve our propane fuel to last a long time. And we have other electricity generators besides our integrated propane generator. The sixth, seventh, and eighth survival requirements are all driven by the effects of nuclear weapons. You must have fire protection, blast protection, and radiation protection. We do locate in remote areas, and not just near a likely source of a nuclear attack, but you can't count on that long term. An enemy's nuclear weapon attack could be inaccurate or just bad luck, so you need to consider the worst case of a nearby nuclear detonation. If we suffer a nuclear attack, the thermal effects of nuclear weapons are very far-reaching, and there could be massive fires across the U.S. Terrorists are also known to have plans to deliberately start fires. We have locations in forested areas as much as possible, so in the first few days of a collapse as a member, you'll be cutting down and helping us clear these forests to make defensive lines of fire and stacking them in the walls, and this will also help us provide fire breaks. The forest on the right is our Fortitude Ranch, Tennessee property, which we have acquired and improved with roads, but have not yet built out. We do not locate near any likely targets for nuclear exchange, but blast protection is obtained by having locations in valleys and avoiding flimsy buildings. We have shallow underground shelters, and we build log homes that are far stronger and able to survive a blast wave. Our metal buildings may get bent and damaged by a blast wave, but they won't catch on fire or collapse. We have lots of underground basements and shelters as well that provide both blast and radiation protection. Radiation protection is best provided by Earth. Deep underground is absolutely not necessary unless you expect to have a high-yield enemy nuclear weapon explode directly on you. Deep underground is much more expensive and can be lethal if you're sharing the same air supply in a pandemic or unable to quickly reach the surface to defend your facility. The most likely radiation threat is fallout, not just from a nuclear weapon detonation, but nuclear power plants. We have designed and built metal shelters like the one you see there for Fortitude Ranch, West Virginia, which you also have at Colorado, plus a reinforced concrete roof bunker in West Virginia. But our far preferred and recommended option today is using insulated concrete forms to build big basements. We have buried containers at Fortitude Ranch, Texas, as well as basements. Radioactive fallout is low-level radiation that can raise your cancer rates and kill over time. We have the equipment to detect it and the expertise to manage it. Many of our staff members have military training and expertise in dealing with fallout. Wearing masks and limiting exposure, we will shovel up radioactive fallout, put it in wheelbarrows, and cart it off our property. We stockpile 2 or more radiation detectors at each location because of Murphy's Law. We assume one may break, so we have backups. It's not cheap to have duplicative equipment, and voluntary survival communities fall apart arguing over issues like this. But with large numbers of members to share the costs, it's affordable, and we believe it's essential. The amount of supplies and equipment it takes to survive comfortably and safely for a year or more is massive. This is why you need a lot of people to help share the cost and to provide the breadth of expertise to handle all. And you need a lot of tools and expertise to repair and maintain your buildings and equipment. We are always building at Fortitude Ranch, so we've got all the tools needed to keep building and improving our facilities during a collapse. The ninth survival requirement we list is heat and shelter. While we have solar systems and propane generators with big tanks at all our locations, our most important energy source is wood, which we'll use for heating and cooking. Fortitude Ranch is designed to always assume the worst, and we can survive without electricity. We have wood stoves in most of our buildings, sometimes several, 8 for example, at our Fortitude Ranch, Colorado location. If you join us when a collapse occurs, in addition to guard duty, you will likely have work assignments gathering firewood and tending the wood. The 10th requirement for survival is a facility you can get to. We locate in remote areas, but with easy road access. We provide our members with early warning of a pending collapse, and we believe you'll be able to travel up to 500 miles or more. The notion that roads will be closed or flooded with people trying to bug out is incorrect. In any disaster, all the government can do is tell people to go home, nothing else they can do. So roads should be largely empty, and it will take several days of a bad loss of law and order before groups start trying to block off roads or ambush people. There probably will be grocery store looting and attacks on houses in cities and suburbs in the first hours of a disastrous collapse. But if you leave and we declare Fortitude Ranch open for collapse survival, you should have more than a day's time to travel. As a member, we'll brief you on storing gas and other techniques we recommend for safe travel to your Fortitude Ranch location. We've been operating successfully for years and are opening new locations all the time, including franchise locations, all of which will meet the key standards to assure survival of our members. Our current plan is probably just 6 or 7 corporate Fortitude Ranch locations and dozens of franchise locations. Our goal is to have dozens of Fortitude Ranch locations operating, able to offer all Americans a location within a half-hour day's drive from their home. If you are far from home when a disaster strikes, you can take shelter at the closest Fortitude Ranch location, whether corporate or franchise run, and survive there. If this happens with our Fortitude Ranch high-frequency radio network, we will be able to connect you to others in your family and group at other Fortitude Ranch locations. Ham radio equipment is essential to get news updates and to communicate with our other Fortitude Ranch facilities. We have set frequency and times and all our locations will come up on the air to connect and communicate. The 11th final survival requirement is maintaining good mental health. This is another reason why Fortitude Ranch is such a good option. Trying to hide out in your basement or a shelter hoping a marauder group doesn't break into your home or discover your air vents and cover them up would be horribly stressful. You need to be able to not just physically survive, but keep your spirits up and have a decent quality of life. Fortitude Ranch provides peace of mind from knowing you'll survive and the camaraderie of other members working together. We stress to members that the first weeks of a collapse you'll be working every waking hour building defensive walls and hunting and making jerky, but you're soon going to have free time to relax and form and join member clubs. We'll have radio communication, regular entertainment, and our staff will watch out to be sure that someone who's feeling really bad is cared for, engaged, and their spirits. An EMP attack or solar flare that takes down the electric grid or a bad pandemic could mean a collapse that lasts over a year with no law and order and no food production and no hospitals operating. So all Fortitude Ranch locations have clinics. More important, we have doctors and nurses and pharmacists in our membership. This will be a big help in keeping peace of mind and good mental as well as physical health in a collapse, knowing that if you need medical care, we can likely provide it. If the doctor at your Fortitude Ranch location is not an expert, he or she can consult with docs at other locations with more expertise via our high-frequency radio network. Fortitude Ranch membership offers survival, recreation, and peace of mind. It's real life insurance, not a payment if you die, but keeping you alive. There is no way a family or a small group can afford all the equipment and facilities you need. Volunteer survival groups usually fall apart because there are too many decisions to make, too much to disagree and debate over. Someone must be in charge, and you need the contract and discipline of the Fortitude Ranch system to operate successfully. Unlike other survival facilities, Fortitude Ranch gives you recreational vacation and hunting use of our facility in peacetime, so it's a great value even if there never is a collapse. The average cost of Fortitude Ranch membership when you buy a long-term membership is probably less than you'd spend to rent a cabin in the forests of West Virginia, the Colorado mountains, or a lake in Wisconsin. When you come to vacation, we are a rural country club retreat, a free place to stay where you can hike and use our shooting range and property and base there to visit local attractions. We're a great place for hunters. There's deer hunting at all our locations, elk in Colorado, chuckers and deer at Nevada, and great fishing at Fortitude Ranch, Wisconsin. Fortitude Ranch is a system, so you have 2 weeks of vacation rights to stay for free at any Fortitude Ranch location, corporate or franchise. Talk to our sales associates about fun things to do. Our facilities are not fancy or expensive. We try to keep costs as low as possible so our member fees are affordable for middle-class Americans, and we can achieve our mission of helping more people survive the coming collapse. With our members providing the bulk of the workforce in a collapse and over 100 people sharing the cost of all the equipment and resources you need, Fortitude Ranch is affordable. If you get a Spartan room and a long-term membership, it's a few $1,000s up front to join, then quarterly dues and an annual food restocking fee that will average about $1,000 per person annually. This video has covered the key aspects of a Fortitude Ranch facility and membership. There are some things we deliberately do not show in the video. We do not depend on a secret location for success, but we don't post our addresses, and in peacetime we try to blend in with the countryside, looking like a ranch or vacation home, not a survival compound. So most of our walls will not go up until a collapse. We do not show all our guard posts and shooting positions or compound diagrams. There are also storage rooms involved that only staff are privileged to see. Every Fortitude Ranch location has different styles of buildings and other differences, but all meet the standards of providing our members with a safe place to survive a collapse. All are equipped and designed to be defensible with the weapons and, most important, professional staff and procedures to keep our members alive. All 11 survival requirements are met at all locations, corporate or franchise. You've seen photos of all our corporate locations as of 2022, but we are opening Tennessee and many franchise locations across the U.S. and eventually overseas too. For more information on the Fortitude Ranch location you're most interested in, contact the sales associate for your area. A physical tour is not required to join. The sales associates for the Fortitude Ranch location you are interested in can answer specific questions you've got about a particular facility. We have a lot of different types of room and shelter options for our members to choose, and you need to talk to a sales associate to understand your options.